So now that we've looked at how to kind of chop up a circle into its different degree measurements, we're going to be given questions such as this. I want to determine the quadrant. So if I want to determine the quadrant in which each, or the terminal side, so let me write this down. So I want the terminal side of each of the angles resides. All right, and so now this is going to require us to be able to move around and figure out, you know, when I start at that x-axis and I move in a positive direction, where this terminates. So let's just look at a few, and you can also look at your little triangle, but you want to kind of know these right off the bat. So 173 degrees, well, if going all the way, or going halfway around is 180, you want to know that 173 is just shy of that, so somewhere in here, and that's going to be in quadrant 2. All right, so you want to use Roman numerals to show the different quadrants. All right. Same thing with negative 58 degrees. Again, negative 58 degrees means that I went in a clockwise position. But again, to start from here and go all the way down to that first axis is 90 degrees. And so negative 58 means I went this direction, but I'm somewhere in this area. And that's in quadrant 4. All right, so again, Roman numerals to show quadrant 4. All right. 390 degrees. All right, so I'm moving in a positive direction, but moving one full rotation is 360. And again, that means I've gone just a little bit extra. So I'm still in quadrant 1. I've kind of rotated all the way around, but then stopped in quadrant number 1. Negative 750 degrees. Now this is kind of a difficult one. I've gone in a negative direction, all right? Going 360 degrees gets you all the way around the circle once. And one thing that we can do to kind of figure out where that's at is we can unwind. All right, so if I look at my calculator and I say I have a negative 750 degrees. To unwind that, I'm going to add 360. So I'm kind of saying, well, let's unwind it by going in the opposite direction, one full rotation. Right? And so this is still a number that's larger than 360, so I'm going to unwind again. So what's happened is we've kind of gone around the circle multiple times. And if we keep adding 360 degrees, we will get a positive number. And once we get a positive number, then we can figure out what quadrant we're in. All right? So for example, 330 degrees, this is what we call coterminal, and that's in quadrant number 4. And so what's happened is, if you think about 750 degrees, that's several multiples of 360. So what's happened is we've really started right here and said, this means is negative 360, but then I've gone another negative 360, which is negative 720, and then I've gone just a little bit more. And so what happens is, this is really what our angle looks like. It looks like we've rotated once, twice, and then a little bit extra. And this is what we call a graphical representation of negative 750 degrees. All right, it shows how many rotations it took to get there. And so this is graphical. We can do that for a few others also. All right. So for example, negative 495 degrees. All right. So to go in a negative direction, again, this right here is 360. All right, so I went negative 360, and then I went some more. So you kind of have to think about what's going on here. So again, negative 495. I'm going to add 360 to that, which means I went another negative 135 degrees. But I want a positive angle so I know where that's at. Oops. So that's at 225 degrees. So what's happened is I've gone around, and then I've gone just enough to stop right here. All right. And this would be negative 495 degrees. All right, and again, I can kind of think about going, like, unwinding this. So the way that I know how that happened, again, okay, let's go over here. So the way I know how that happened again is I said, well, let's go in a negative direction, 1 full rotation. All right. And then you want to go a little bit more. All right. So if I keep going, you can see I'm just messing up here. So sorry, negative 495. Unwind it once, which means I have to go in the opposite direction, so I have to add 360. And so if I unwind it once, I'm going to kind of get back here to this point, and I need to figure out what this little gap is, so I need to add and unwind just a little bit more. So when I unwind, it gets me back to this direction. All right, so to figure out what quadrant some of these terminate in, you want to sort of unwind if you are more than the 360 degrees. Right. And so again, let's look at a little bit more of some graphical representations of these. Again, this 173 degrees is in quadrant 2. Say I just want to graphically, all right, represent each. All right. And so say I want to look at, 100, or let's do 1,235 degrees. Let's just do something really big, right? What I need to know is I need to know how many full 360 rotations are in that degree measurement, all right? And so 1 full rotation, because it's positive, would stop here. And what I need to know is I need to know how many of those windings do I need. And so again, I need to unwind that, which means in this case, I need to do the opposite, which is subtract 360. All right, so that would be 1 full rotation. That would be, I've gone and unwound this once. So I figured that I have, every time I take away a 360, I get 1 full rotation. Taking away another 360, which means I have to go again all the way around. You can see I'm still past 360, so I have to keep unwinding this to get to a number that's a positive between 0 and 360 to figure out where this terminates. So 155 is somewhere right around here. So what that means is that I've had to unwind one rotation, 2 rotations, and then I need to go again 1 more rotation and then stop. All right.